Jeff Levitan, you might want to recruit you Jeff Levitan now. But if you saw me a while back when he recruited me, that would solve the question many of you have. Should I just recruit everybody, or should I really just go after the high caliber people? I'm proof that you should go after everybody, by the way. I did grow up in the south side of Chicago. Anyone from Chicago here? Man, if you're from Chicago, you know the north side of Chicago is where the old money is. The west side of Chicago is where the new money is, and the south side is where no money is. We struggled financially as a family. My dad was a truck driver, my mom waitressed a couple jobs, and a lot of my memories of childhood were my parents fighting, arguing, stress of the world on their shoulders, paying the bills. I remember my dad taught me how to tell his boss that he's not there if he calls. I don't know what that was all about even until this day. All I know is he switched a lot of jobs, and so did my mom, and we moved a lot of times, and there was a lot of struggle. And I don't know if I identified with my initial why early, but I did know this. We were not very fulfilled as a family. And I knew that when I grew up, I didn't want to fight about money. I didn't know a lot. I didn't know what I was going to be. I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know what I was going to have, but I knew I wasn't going to fight about money. And you know what? Cam and I have been together 10 years. We've had a couple blowouts, nothing too major, but we only a couple times, and never about money. Never about money. And I'm happy that that's what I did. That's what I set out to do, but I also knew that I felt bad for other families too. So that kind of led me into the financial industry. How fulfilling is your life? Let's just cut right to the chase. Do you mind? How fulfilling really is your life? If it did end tonight, you're on your way out of here, you're going back home to wherever you're going, and something doesn't go right and it's over. Did you do all you wanted to do? Have you accomplished all you wanted to accomplish? Have you provided for those you want to provide for? Did you experience most of your bucket list? Did you do all these things? Or are you right now left not complete? Not fulfilled? Do you still have a lot left to do? Well, what makes you think you got a lot of time left? How do you really know? You've heard it a lot here tonight, but you don't. You know if you got a diagnosis tomorrow and you had a year left, you'd live a whole different year than you would have if you didn't get the diagnosis. You think everyone who got a diagnosis knew they were going to get one? No. So we have to start living like that now, don't you think? We have to decide who we want to be, what we want our life to add up to, and start going after that right now. And it doesn't matter where you start. I like the fact when I look out at some of you, I'm looking at the before picture, I know it. And some of you are somewhere in the middle, and some of you look like you're at the end, right? The after picture. But I think a lot of us are still on our journey, and a lot of people don't even know what path they're on. They still haven't figured out why they're here, and that's why they're not accomplishing much. It's not because they couldn't. They're just not directed properly, and too many hours of their day are wasted doing remedial things that aren't getting them anywhere. You look at me now and you go, man, I wish you were on my team. I wish I had a guy like you on my team. Well, let me tell you something. I'm going to show you a little picture of the guy that great cat. When you grow up tough, south side of Chicago, you got to look tough, otherwise you get messed with all the time. Did you pull up the picture? I can't see it. Bam! Look at that guy. Handsome. You know, if a picture says 1,000 words, Greg, if a picture says 1,000 words, Dan, he'd like this in the back there. Dan, so professional. Look at that guy. When you look at that, what's the first word that comes to mind? Or the first idea? Yeah, I'll tell you what it does to me. I see that, I think financial services. I think that guy is going to be doing financial services, probably leadership role. You're going to listen to him and pay $1,000 to get an hour of his coaching. Oh, I know you want your refund. I had you pay first. No refunds. Financial services, but don't worry, you have to give people a chance to mature. That was the young me. I grew up, I went to college, I got educated, and then things got better. Take a look at this. Go ahead, Dan. Bam! Look at that. That's just off the top of my head, you know what I'm thinking? Responsible. Trustworthy. I don't know if that's one or two words, but both of them come to mind. Isn't that someone you want to put your money with? Like, I look at that guy, I'm like, my family's financial future. Let's put our money with with him. It's all going to be good. It's all going to be safe. See, it doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter which side of what city you came from. It doesn't matter if you had loving parents or parents that, were rough on you and didn't think much of you, and teachers told you you'd never amount to something. It's whatever you want to be and you decide to be, and you will not settle in your life, and you're going to be whatever it is. But you got to decide soon and go after it, and then spend your energy going after it. Not deciding whether what someone said about you was right or wrong in the past. I look back and now it's kind of funny. Now, but I was that guy. I forgot who said it, maybe Jason. I was doing what I was doing when I was doing it. Right? I'm not sure I even get that, but I was doing it. And I thought I was cool then, and I thought I was tough before then, and now I think I'm a businessman. I don't know. As a man thinketh. So I just tell you right now, the way I think I'm successful. I think I'm going to be a philanthropist. I think I'm going to do great things. I think I'm going to save people's lives. I think I'm going to make people wealthy. And you know what? If I keep thinking it, it's going to happen. Something great happened literally a week ago, New Year's Eve. I get a text message on my phone, and it was a long time ago. Like this picture came through. And I know you might not be able to read it from where you are, but when I got in this business right off the bat, things didn't go that good. I left Greg Kapp's office, and this is why I love Greg so much. A Chinese guy named Dean Chang handed me a videotape, told me to watch it, and he's not a salesman. He had no good skills at all, so there's hope for some of you if you're not a salesperson. How many of you don't really feel like you're a salesperson? Hey, that's all right. He handed me a videotape. I said, what is this? Here was his close. You might want to write this down. He said, it's 10 minutes. I said, no, really, but what's in it? What's it about? He goes, it's 10 minutes. He had no skills at all. But it kind of closed me. I said, okay, only 10 minutes. I might as well watch it. And I watched it. It was horrible, but I loved it. It showed you can make all this money. And then he said, come with me and meet Greg Kapp. So he knew what he knew, and he knew who knew what he didn't know, and that's all he did. Right? Whatever that means, that's what I did. And I went over to Greg, and here's how the interview went. 24, I had a mullet haircut. You know what a mullet is? Yeah. The coolest haircut ever designed. Business in the front, party in the back. So here I am with a $100 suit, not the suit, but like the suit shirt, tie, socks, shoelaces, all $100. Tax included. So I'm wearing that with my mullet in front of Greg Kapp, and he goes, how old are you? Which nowadays we think that's not even legal. Back then, everything I guess was legal. It was 1995. I go, I'm 24. He goes, you're too young for this company. That was his close, his hiring interview. You're too young for this company, which put me on the defensive. Now I had to win this job opportunity. And I'm like, well, why am I too young? Do you have to be of a certain age? He goes, no, I don't mean you have to be a certain age, but you have to be serious about business. You have to be, most guys your age just want to party and have fun and chase girls and do this and that. You're not ready for business. So I kind of lied and said, no, I am ready for business. I'm not interested in any of that stuff. He said, all right, maybe we'll give you a chance. Luckily, he gave me a chance, sold me the dream. Just walking in his office. I don't know if you've been in any of our offices. Swords on the walls, shields, plaques. He had this one picture, my first $1 billion, that said, I was just like literally a kid in a candy store. I've never seen such awards ever, like the ones we gave out today. All of our offices look like this. I've never been in an office like that. So I'm so excited leaving his office. I just knew I was going to be rich. And I left his office. He goes, by the way, until you get a little bit of training, please don't try to explain this to anyone. And if you do, and some people give you some stuff, just give me a call before you make any big decisions. I'm like, all right, whatever. And I left. I was excited, so I made a call. Literally got in the car, made a call to my mom. Because my mom had 2 kids only, Brian and me. Brian's 18 months older, so I'm the baby. Even today, I'm still the baby. I can do nothing wrong, no matter what happens. He'd never like that. So I call up my mom, and she's so sweet. She's all love. She's a lot like him. We marry someone that's like our mother or father. So I call up my mom. She goes, hello, honey. I said, hi, Mom. How's it going? And she goes, great. I said, Mom, I'm excited. And she said, that's wonderful. I said, don't you want to know what I'm excited about? She goes, okay. But I said, I'm starting a new business. See, what I didn't understand was, my mom was like an employee-minded person. My grandfather, her dad, had like one job his whole life. He's a World War II vet, Chicago firefighter, man's man. You don't talk back at work. You have one job. You be thankful for that job, employee-minded. Everyone in our family was blue-collar. I'm wearing a suit to work, so she thinks I have a good job because I wear a suit. Me and Brian went to college first to graduate in our extended family, and I'm thinking, she's proud of me because I'm wearing a suit. I hated my job. I was underpaid, but I wore a suit. When you're a blue-collar family and a kid graduates college and wears a suit, you think they're successful and you brag to your friends, right? Anyway, I said, Mom, I'm excited. I'm starting a business. And here's what I heard. Honey, you already have a job. I'm like, yeah, Mom, but I'm not that happy. This thing looks better. And she said, well, what's the starting salary? And I said, it's a business. I don't think there is one. She goes, oh. And then she said, well, what are the benefits like? I said, I didn't even ask that question. She goes, oh, honey, don't do it. Just keep your job. You've got a wonderful job. I'm like, I love you. I'll talk to you later. Bye. Second call my dad. They're divorced, by the way. You fight all your life. Dad sleeps on the couch the last 5 years. You probably end up divorced. Anyway, he's a serial entrepreneur. No matter what jobs he had, he always had a business on the side. So he would love this and appreciate it. Call my dad up. By the way, he's a truck driver. So that allowed him to know everything about everything. You have a father like that. So I called him up. Dad, it's Jeff. Yes, what would you like? He's like a man's man, tough guy. Yep. I go, hey, Dad, I'm starting a business. Oh, yeah? What is it? And I'm like, well, it costs a couple $100. You get people in, insurance, investments or something. He goes, stop right there, son. It's a scam. I've seen these before. You ought to get your couple hundred. Oh, you know what? I just want to tell you, you can kiss that money goodbye. That couple hundred's gone. Should have called me first. All right, Dad, talk to you later. Next call, my best friend Art. We played football in high school together, went to college together. His dad was a truck driver. My dad, we made like this pact when we were kids. Hey, if either one of us finds something that can make you rich, we're bringing the other one in on it with us. So we both can win and get out of the hood, right? And we're excited about that, me and Art. So my next call was Art. Ring, ring. Yo, what's up, Jeff? I'm like, what's up, Art? I found it. And he's like, you found what? Well, I just realized I couldn't explain this thing based on the last call. So I'm like, I found it. He goes, all right, what's it? I said, it's the way we're going to get rich. He goes, really? He goes, how much have you made so far? I'm like, nothing. And he said, dude, make some money first, see if it works, and then call me and let me know. I'm like, okay, bye. Those were my first 3 calls. My 4th call was to Greg to quit. That's how close things are in life. So I call up Greg, ring, 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 ring. He answers. I go, hello, Greg. He's like, who did you talk to? I'm like, how do you know I talked to anybody? Because you left my office about 30 minutes ago, fired up, and now I can feel you're down in the dumps. Who'd you talk to? It's like those people, right? How many of you, someone left your office, they call you an hour later, you didn't run my card yet, did you? Yeah, by your response, I can tell that's happened to a couple of you. Hold off on that for a minute. I'm like, I got some questions for you. He's like, go ahead. Fire away. I'm like, well, what's the starting salary? He's like, Jeff, you're owning a business. You determine what you're worth. Finally, you'll get to determine what you're worth. I'm like, okay. Well, what are the benefits like? He goes, we sell those. That's like what we do. You get licensed, you'll be able to help yourself and other people with those things. I'm like, oh, well, is this thing a scam? He said, if it was a scam, would all these big financial companies associate with us and put their name on our stuff? I showed you the list of the companies, and you said you recognize a lot of them. I know, I guess that makes sense. I'm like, well, why haven't I made any money yet? He said, you just left my office 30 minutes ago. I know. I'm excited again. I'm back in. It was that close. I was almost done. That quick. Well, when I got in, I had some struggle. I called friends. They all told me it wasn't going to work. And boy, so my first second why was to prove some of these fools wrong. I know it's an immature thing, but I'm like, man, I'm going to show you. Whenever someone came down or didn't come down or told me this, I took their name down like Santa Claus, right into my naughty nice list. You're going to get it later. Later I'm going to prove to you. And I kept a real list. I don't even think I'm joking. This is proof I'm not joking. So here's what happened. The next year I worked like crazy. I make $146,000 my first year. By the way, I got out of my job 8 months later, made 40 extra grand, paid off my college loans part-time, paid full-time, launched even harder. That next year, Brian Buss, Salinas, myself, we opened up this office, and I went and made $146,000. And that's my 1099. So I pulled out the list. A lot of people say, oh, I sent everyone my 1099. Yeah, you probably did. It just sounds good. That's a copy of my 1099. I highlighted, back then there was no like identity theft, so I highlighted my social security number, my name, the amount I made, and then I wrote this letter to my buddy Brad from my fraternity house in Illinois State. It says, Brad, it's time to take a serious look at this business. I'm sure Amy, who's his wife, could find something to do with the extra money. Talk to you soon, Jeff. I sent like 50 of these suckers out there. Some of them, I didn't have their address. I faxed it to their office in the old days so it would come through and everyone in the office would see it. Now, I know you probably think what I thought. They're going to call me up. Go back, go back, go back. What are you doing? Go back a slide. Come on. You guys are going to ruin my presentation if you. Good. You didn't see it? Promise to God, hope to die, stick a needle in your eye. Secular. Sorry, Greg. That's a biblical reference. Anyway, let's get into this. I really sent these suckers out. I thought people would call me back and go, you're smart, I'm stupid, you had vision, I did it, I'm joining you, now I'm ready, oh, please forgive me. Not one person joined after sending all these out. It was a little disheartening. I was really looking to stick it to some folks, but, you know, so it didn't work that way, but I still made that much money and I felt good about myself. And I did send them out in subsequent years. Childish, I know, but I'll tell you this. So this guy says, 20 years ago, I sent him that. 20 years ago. And somehow he's moving now for the first time in 20 years. Right? And he's rifling through, throwing stuff out. He finds this darn letter, and he takes a picture of it and texts it to me. And I'm like, oh. Maybe now you're ready. So I got an appointment to talk to him on the phone this next week. And then maybe $100,000 in a pay cycle. Man, whoever thought I'd make $1 million on one pay cycle? Holy moly, that's like almost $1.6 million in a month. Doesn't make me any better. I'm still the guy from the south side of Chicago. Nope. If I can do it, a detective from Jersey, you could do it too. Man, I don't know. You just got to believe and keep going, right? don't know which one's stronger, but I'm going both. My mentor said, look, we're in this weird idea of multiple choice that you only get to choose one of the above. Don't forget option C, both. Should I buy the red one or the blue one? Both. Don't ever forget both is an option if you're an abundance mentality. If you have a scarcity mentality, everything's either or. Everything's what you can afford. Everything's based on your budget. You got to get out of that stinking thinking and start thinking a lot bigger, don't you? So look, after I made my first six figures, besides busting everyone out and sending them all 1099s, I won a trip to Hawaii and I called my mom. I'm like, I don't want to just bring a girlfriend of the month or whatever. I'm gonna bring my parents. I'm a mama's boy. She deserves it. She's put up with us our whole life, and I'm gonna treat her to a trip. So I called my mom. We're going to Hawaii. Your son's taking you. I want a trip. She was so excited. She, oh, my son. She's walking around. She's in a doctor's office now, walking around. My son, telling the nurses, my son's taking me. She'd never been anywhere really. So she was all excited about this trip. And then I got a call back an hour later because I told her the dates. She said, I gotta go get the time off of work, I'll call you back. My mom called me back. Honey, I can't go. They won't let me off. They said, this is the busy season. I can't. I said, Mom, you've been working there like 5, 6 years. Why don't they just give you a week off so I can do this? I said, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, oh man, sorry, I love you. But I wanted to take a parent, so I brought my dad. Which they're divorced, and she wasn't too happy with them, and I didn't mean to hurt her more, but that even hurt her more, Felice, when I brought her ex-husband, and she's like, what? Fast forward a year. Now I'm making about $300 grand my next year because I kept trucking. Call up my mom, we won Hawaii, we're going. I'm more confident. I'm telling more people what to do for a living. I'm speaking on stage more. I've just gotten this little cocky, but also just a lot of confidence. And I start believing I can will things to happen. I start believing that. So I call my mom, I'm like, we're going to Hawaii. She wasn't even excited. She goes, Jeff, you know, it's the same time of year. I'm probably not going to be able to go. I'm like, Mom, just go ask, please. You only get what you ask for, nothing more. Like, go ask. She goes, I'll call you right back. Calls me back, no, see? I knew it. I wasn't going to be able to go. And she's not one to act up at work or talk back or do any of this stuff. And I got to tell you, from fighting with my dad and the arguing and just being divorced, her self-esteem was down. Her belief in herself and her strength as a woman and as a person was down. And I didn't like someone picking on my mom. I didn't like someone telling my mom what to do. And I didn't like money and finances still to be burdening her life this many years later, and I worked hard to have money so I could make some decisions for everybody. And I said, Mom, you know what? You're going. She said, no, I told you I can't. I said, here's what we're going to do. You're going to go back in your boss's office, and you're going to tell him this, exactly this. I want you to say, my son said that if you don't let me off of work for this trip, that I'm to quit today, and that he's going to pay me my salary until I find a job better than this one. So what are you going to do? She's like, you want me to say that? I can't say that to my boss. They might fire me. I said, Mom, I got the money. If they fire you, you're not going to miss a beat. I won't miss a paycheck. She says, you really want me to do it? I go, let's do a little script training. Start with my son said. My son said. I'm feeling big. She's starting to like well up with a little bit of self-esteem. She says, you really want me to do it? I'm like, do it. Really do it. And I'm serious, Mom. I got the money. I made 35 grand last month. We can do it. She says, okay. Calls me back 15 minutes later. You won't believe it. I'm going. You're a good employee, you're a nice lady, you do your job, and unfortunately, sometimes in life that gets you nowhere. People step on you like a rug. And I'm like, no one's stepping on my mom anymore. Because I have money. Money is everything. Everyone where to go now. I just created a monster. But I love it. love it. Love this stuff. I don't know why. I'm just too secular, Greg. Look at this. Put up the next slide, Dan. You got to work until you no longer have to introduce yourself. If you're running around here going, hi, I'm Skippy Noodleski. Man, you just didn't do enough. You need to walk in and they go, people whisper, that's Wayne London. Oh, that's Richard. Oh, that's Mike Wilson. Deanna. Oh, that's Martha. You gotta be walking into these things, man. People already know you. This is your game. This is your business. Right? You think Tom Brady walks in a football gathering of high school, college, or even beginning rookie ball playing things and they don't know who he is? Man, everyone knows who he is. This is your sport. You need to do it till you no longer have to introduce them. And if you do, they're going to reward you big. Go ahead. Next slide. Man, they're going to make posters and movies about you straight out of the south side. Next one. Put this up. I like this. I never was a big jewelry guy growing up because when you grow up broke, you can't be. The more they give me, the more I become a big jewelry guy. That's the 4 million ring. You make over $4 million a year, that's what it looks like. This is what it looks like. Hey, go back. I didn't say advance. What's going on back there? You guys are trigger happy.
Trigger happy.
I'm never going shooting with you. Let's go hunting. No way. Didn't change me. Bang. Hold on. Shoot. One of my friends like, that looks like Liberace. I'm like, it does. I'm still childish a little bit, but I'm having fun. Life's pretty cool when you're doing good. Next slide. Look, I'm on magazines. The Wolf of Wall Street's even talking about me. Next slide. And go to the next one. Oh, go back. All right, leave it up. It's too late. So that's how I met Cam. I read that Cliff Notes version. It's the real story. I'm like, look, these relationship things, Cynthia, they're just not working out for me. I'm dating people, it's not working. All these people have problems. And then I realized when I started reading Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, and 5 Love Languages, I was like, one thing's in common with all these relationships. It's this guy. I'm the problem, not all of them. Like, if I'm going to get married, I better understand women, but I'm not a big reader. Let me get a book on it, because there's a book written on everything. I get a book on women and understanding them, but I don't want the full book. I just want the Cliff Notes. So Amazon pulled up with a truck with extra supports and wheeled that off. On a dolly, dropped it off. Computer ships crated. After I got through it a couple times, I met my wife. Man, everything. I just see things I want, and then I go for it. And now I go for it with the belief I can have it. It's different to go for something and not think you're going to get it. And guess what? You probably won't. But when you go with it with the full belief you're going to get it, man, you just end up getting it. I know it's easier said than done. People have faith is one of these things thrown around. Just believe, just believe. It really, it's worthless if you don't really believe. That's just what I know. Man, I was in Hawaii as a single guy again for like the 10th trip, walking around, and I bump into the Shins. If you know John and Arlene Shin, they're Korean, and they're cute as can be, both of them. John's cute, and Arlene's cute, and they've got 4 kids, each size, like bing, 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 bing. And they're all dressed in the same Hawaiian shirt and shorts. And they're all holding hands, going to the luau. I'm like, that's so cute. Look at that. I'm single. That's family. It's so cute. I want one of those. They were like those little Russian dolls where they go. Blip, blip, blip. I don't know why. Whenever I see those, I still want them. And you don't do anything with them. They don't do anything, but it's just cute. So I read the book, and bam, I got my cute family. You've seen them up here. Next slide, you guys. And there's the result. It works. I got my cute little family, and it keeps growing. So let me start wrapping up. Next slide. My little pointer thing doesn't work. Be careful of your associations. Who are you hanging out with? You think these are your friends. You think these are your boys. You think this is your posse. You think they got your back. They're waiting to eat you up, man. I'm just telling you right now, you think everyone cares about you and thinks about you. Most people don't. Your mom does a little bit. Your kids do when they need something. Your spouse once in a while likes you. Sometimes they don't. I'll tell you what, though. It's crazy. Most people around you do not want you to succeed. Why? Because it makes them feel uncomfortable and insecure with themselves. No one wants to feel like, if I'm a little chubby and all my chubby friends start working out, man, it puts pressure on me. I want them to stay big, so I feel comfortable about myself. If I'm a smoker and so's my gang, and someone stops, man, that makes me feel like something's wrong with me. That puts pressure on me. If I got a whole bunch of broke friends and I start breaking out and want to do something more with my life and make money, they want me down there where they're comfortable with me. And it's not really about me, it's about them. And it's about their insecurity. So they don't mean harm upon us necessarily, but they really aren't cheering for us much. So if you're really going to be a winner, one of the things you got to be willing to do is change your associations with more successful people, more accomplished people, people that have lives like you want. You're going to have to be successful. Also, many friends that don't have the best interests in life. Next slide. You need to surround yourself with people on the same mission as you. That's why you feel good after these things, because we kind of all feel the same way, don't we? We all love this company. We understand financial services at least a little bit. We want to go help people. We want to improve our lives. We're committed to self-development and improvement. We are cheering each other on. We're on each other's teams. We're picking each other up. It feels good. Yeah. And then when you go back home, it doesn't feel so good. Or around at work, it doesn't feel so good. That's why you need to get full-time quick so that you can get rid of those. How many of you still have a JOB? Just over broke, right? You're like a mushroom, right? Keeping you in the dark, feeding you crap, and then one day you'll get canned. You've heard that before. Don't be a mushroom. Look, when you leave here today, here's what I'm asking you to do. Take a piece of paper, write down the date you're going to fire your boss and come full time. Okay? And then I want you to go to work on Monday. I want you to put it up on the wall. No, don't put anything else on except the date. When the boss comes by and says, hey, what's that date? Say, you'll find out soon enough. Just go back to work, whatever you do. Next slide. You need to hang out with some leaders. There's a Hawaii trip coming up next month. You all should have won it. It's a free trip. You don't have to pay for it. You just have to build a team of 10 that does 2 sales each per month for 6 months. And you get a free trip every year to Hawaii. It'll be our 21st trip to Hawaii. Never paid for one. It's expensive out there. I'm glad I'm not paying for it. Then there's a trip to Australia coming up later this year. Once again, all expense paid. You don't have to do anything. If you're part of Rob's family, you get to do a lot of stuff, all expense paid too. I'm trying to get adopted into Rob's family, so that every trip the rest of my life is all expense paid. Anyway, that was my best trip ever last year because we had all of our leaders and friends on it, and we were all on this trip experiencing. We were going into castles in Germany and Austria and Schwanstein, and we went to London. We were on the London Eye and the castle there, and all that history and fun with all of our friends. We stayed up playing this game called Mafia in the Lobby in Austria till like 3 in the morning, and we got kicked out of the lobby at 3 in the morning because we were making too much noise. We're all millionaires playing a card game late at night and all that. It was so awesome. You still get kicked out of places even when you're rich. What is this business, though? Let me use an analogy. We like analogies at WFG, don't we? Put up this next slide. I think you need to understand this. That's what this looks like when you're recruiting huge numbers. When you understand the business you're in. A lot of you think this is the financial services business, or you think it's the insurance business. We are in that industry, which I'm glad we are, because it's not a fad, it's not going out of style. Money doesn't go out of style, and the need for protection for the family is never going to go out of style. A lot of people said, is it going to be a commodity? Is it going to be something by online? I don't believe so, because it requires a lot of personal discipline. And most people don't have any of that. They need this stuff explained because the school systems still aren't explaining finances. I'm a little bit of a conspiracy theorist. I think the country wants to keep us dumb and dependent so they can control us. But that's all other stuff. Bring it in, fill it in like. You recruit huge numbers, this beautiful machine called our system. This thing builds the business for you. If you want to get really good at something, if you want the shortcut, Trey Turner did a great job talking about, just bring in the raw material, the factory does the rest for you. It'll turn people and spit them off into financial planners, insurance salesmen, good presenters. I'm not a good talker. Well, recruit 3 people that are good talkers. You don't have to be a good talker anymore. You can just override people from different backgrounds in different areas. I realized when I was 24 and single that I needed older married people on my team if I'm going to get into those markets, so we recruited them. Right? I realized that there's other communities that speak other languages, and I can't get into those necessarily and do financial services, but I can recruit a leader from that community, and then I can benefit and make an impact in that community and benefit myself. Some of you take this beautiful thing, and here's the way you treat it. You treat it like a sales job, and you run around selling it. Here's what you do with your beautiful machine. Next slide. You drive it down the road, turning on turn signals, stopping at stoplights, trying to parallel park your F-14. There's no gas at the gas pump for it. It's a pain in the butt. This thing's hard. It's frustrating. I don't know why it's not working. Because you're trying to sell insurance. You're trying to be just a normal financial planner. Stop. Stop it. There's enough of them out there. What makes us special is you can do it part-time, and we have the privilege of recruiting as much as we want. They haven't put a limit on it yet. If Joe came up here yesterday, I pray every time he comes up, don't take away the recruiting privilege. Please, please don't take away the recruiting privilege. Don't diminish it. Don't minimize it. Don't put a cap on it. People are like, oh, there's a cap on recruiting. There's no cap on recruiting. That's the only cap I care about. As long as there's no cap on recruiting, I'm going to recruit as many as I can. And that's my major thought every day when I get up, because that's what this thing was built for. This business is about recruiting lots of people and finding leaders. People are like, well, I got to develop them. What? You can't even develop yourself as a leader. How are you going to develop leaders? You're going to find leaders. People that are predisposed, that have done other things in their life. I don't care if you're a college football player, or you won in a math contest before, you're really smart. Everyone's probably, find people who have done something before well. And then just teach them this, and they'll do well here because they already are predisposed to be a leader. I don't know if you're going to take somebody unless they have a lot of willpower and a lot of discipline and are ready for change, and I'll give them a shot too. But I'm really going to find leaders, probably not build many of them. I'll give them some coaching, but the reality is they need to be determined to want to change, because we can't change people, we just need to find people. But you're not finding enough. What do you think your chance of success is if you're recruiting 10 people a year into your company? You know what I know? A few of them are going to fall out before the ink dries on the paper. The other few are going to talk to someone who says something negative, and they're going to drop out. And out of 10, you might find one that even sticks around for a little bit. I don't like that. That just happens to be the numbers. That's why our team recruited over 30,000 people last year. Guess what? There's a lot of great leaders. There's a ton of Rob Days and Eric Olsons and John Shins and Jamies and Stokeses and Mike Wilsons in 30,000. If you do 3,000, I do 30,000. I found 10 times more leaders than you. If you do 300, I found 100 times more leaders than you last year. If you recruited 3, forget about it. You're not even understanding our business yet. Yes, you need to be professional. Yes, it's good to learn about financial services. You could replace a great financial planner with 4 average ones. But you can't replace a great recruiter builder. That's why you got to cherish them and treat them like the gold that they are. Next slide. Man, another dream happened after I blew people out and sent them my 1099s. Got my mom her self-esteem back, bought her a car, did some things. I retired the first time at age 30. I became a millionaire in this business from age 24 to 30. I wasn't on the long-term plan. I was sick and tired of being sick and tired, and I was willing to do anything as long as it was legal. And I was going to work as many hours as I had to work, and I was going to win no matter what. And guess what? I won. 5 years later, I was retired. Money wasn't as big of a motivator for me at that time, but I started asking myself, God, what'd you put me here for? What do you want me to really do? And I don't know if he spoke the words to me or put it on my heart or what it was. That's where All for One came from. And at the age of 30, I was in Africa during Christmas, giving out gifts to orphans, and I mean, my heart was touched, my mind was changed forever. I was ashamed of ever complaining about anything after I was up in the jungle villages of Matagalpa in Nicaragua, and I was in different places around the world where people really have it tough. I'm like, man, I need to go back and do this, but I need to make more money. It's the old starfish story. I know people are like, well, what can you do? Does donating a little bit really make a difference? It's like, have you heard the starfish story? After the big hurricane washed all the starfish up on the beach, and the little kid was picking them up one at a time and zinging them back in the ocean. Came across a man, and he said, what are you doing? He goes, I'm saving the starfish. Because there's hundreds of thousands of them. There's no way you're going to save them all. What does it matter? And the little boy, in his wisdom, said, to this one, it makes all the difference in the world. And that's what charity is about. That's what tithing is about. That's what making a difference is about. That's what giving someone rejection and try to protect them is about. To that one, it makes all the difference in the world. Another big goal of mine was to all this negative news like Greg Cap talked about. I was sick of it. I'm excited because I was into personal development, thinking grow rich, how to win friends and influence people. I'm listening in the car. I'm so fired up. And then just because I happen to be home around 10 o'clock for the news, I pop it on and murder, rape, fire, bam, 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 bam. 5 minutes later, I'm depressed. I'm like, what kind of city do we live in? What kind of world do we live in? This world is horrible, but I was just out and it was beautiful, but now I'm in watching and it's horrible. I don't know if I can believe this, but I know this. Where's the alternative? Where's the other station that's all positive all the time, that's empowering? Now we need to start a media company or a station that's all positive all the time. Let's call it Empower Media. That'll be good news. And we'll just have good news on it. Like a good news network, and those letters say GNN, which sounds a lot like CNN. There's good news, right? And instead of the negative news that's on most stations, most of the time, you got to admit. So guess what? Turn the slide. Boom, coming to you by the end of this month. Finally. That was 16 years ago. Oh, that's the orphanage we built in Uganda, by the way. I got my slides mixed up, I don't even care. These are good things all over the world, man. We built that as a team. That's old, that's built up, that's 3 times bigger than that. They've got food in the garden, organic garden, so it's not just throwing some money at a problem. Literally, it's self-sustaining. Next slide. Oh, the charity is so good. That's our new son, David. He's not with us yet, but you can pray for us. So bureaucracy of the U.S. Immigration Department. Any of you that immigrated here, I feel for you now more than ever. Even though I'm white as can be, I'm trying to get my new son in this country, waiting for the visa. He's already my son. I flew to Africa. Sierra Leone High Court said, stamp, you're approved, this is your son. I'm like, oh, he said, I love you. And I can't bring him home until we get a visa. And I don't know how long the line is or how tall it is. I'm calling the politicians. I'm trying anything I can. Another thing, honey, I can't control. It's killing me. I think I can do anything. I'm going to get home. I'm going to figure out a way, I don't know. Anyway, that's our beautiful son. Someone called me up and says, it kind of looks like you. And then I looked at it. I'm like, it kind of does. Whatever the mind can believe, achieve. Your perspective is your reality, right? Next slide. I was so touched because after the Ebola crisis out there, there's so many orphans, and they're on the street. Here they're in foster care, and I don't think that's a great system, but it's better than nothing. Out there, there's nothing. People can't afford their own kids, much less other people's kids. They are in the streets. Anybody have a 7, 8-year-old? Imagine your 8-year-old's taking care of and raising your 3-year-old. That's what's happening in certain places around the world. So we got the All for One together, and we're building an orphanage out there. The funds you donate, don't feel bad, or don't have post-donation remorse. That's costing about $200,000, and we had 80,000 coming into Wealth Bowl season. I think we raised 25,000 here this weekend, and the other Wealth Bowls together, we're about there. We're about 160. Cap and I'll make up the difference, and we're there. We're home free. That's being built right now. Next slide. Wrapping up. Sorry, everybody. Empower Media coming to you. I know. Who knows what I don't know, and that's all I need to know. Jason's running that for me. I said, Jason, I need you. He did some stuff in Los Angeles with some of the big networks out there and technology companies. I'm like, man, you take it. I had the vision for it. You put it together. You can literally right now go to empower-media.com. Literally on your phone, www.empower- that's the minus sign. I always figure /dash, I don't know what it is. It's the minus sign. Empower-media.com. It's not all up, but you can watch it in the building. This is like I'm giving you a peek at Apple before it became Apple. I'm giving you a peek at Microsoft before it became Microsoft. This is small, it's just getting started, but I've got a huge bankroll and a lot of passion. We're going to make this thing huge. It's going to be awesome, everyone. We're going to do great things with it. Go ahead and do this too if you got a minute. Take out your phones. I don't like phones normally during my talks, but Jason mentioned it yesterday. Just text Empower Media to 797979. Next slide. Bingo, bango. Bam. Text it. Don't leave a space. Capital E, capital M, just like that. Text that to 7979. Put you in the system. So every time a new video gets uploaded, here's what the site's going to start as. We use a technology company. It's an aggregator. It's going to fish around for all good news all over the world and put different articles and different things on the site every single day. Then we're going to get speakers, Tony Robbins type people, and other people, starting with Jason and some of my stuff. But we're going to build it huge and have lots of people in there. All the stuff's going to be free, and we're going to start empowering people. And the more uses we have and the more members we have to that site, that thing's going to grow and change the world. Wrapping up here. Next slide. Woo. I want you to watch this video real quick, and we're going to wrap it up. This might be what's holding you back. You might be whining a little bit, you might be scared, you might have 10 things going on. Even if you have 2 or 3 things dividing your attention, that could be your very problem. Hit the space bar, it should play. And if not, then I'm going to do the whole story myself in half the time. All right, go back. I'm going to do it. Little technical difficulties, that gives me an opportunity. Every challenge gives you the opportunity to grow. Right? That's a cute cat. That's my next slide. And then we'll go back to this slide. Let's go forward to that slide and back to that slide. Let me just do this. Back in the 1500s, there was a guy named Hernando Cortez. He was a Spanish conquistador. And he was exploring. And he ended up on the shores of Cuba. And he was there. And he heard about this treasure over in Mexico. Right inside it was Montezuma II, King Montezuma. And this treasure was one of the biggest treasures to be taken anywhere in the world. And he wanted to go take it. He was a conquistador. And back in those days and ages, that was a job title. You could be a baker, you could be a blacksmith, you could be a conqueror. Just what people did. We think it's horrible. Back then, it was a job title. He was going to conquer. So I think it was 1519, he loaded up 500 soldiers on 11 ships. The treasure had never been taken in hundreds of years. It was full of gold, it was full of gems. Everybody wanted it, everybody failed. He thought he had a little spin on things, so he was going to try a little something different that wasn't tried before. But something happened. After they left the shore, loaded up the men, they were all going over there. On the way over, something crazy happened. His people started whining. Mr. Cortez, I don't know if I should be on this ship at this time. There's other things going on. Maybe we should do this. Maybe we should get more prepared, load up a little more supplies. And they started whining, which probably frustrated the heck out of him. But they kept going anyway. They were on the ship with a destination and with a vision. They hit the shores. Everyone gathered around the beach. They had a little BPM on the beach. Everyone gathered up. He came out. Most people figured, all right, here's the Braveheart speech, right? He's going to tell us, this is what we're going to do. You guys flank over here. You guys attack from this side. We're going to do this. If it's not going good, we'll meet over there and we'll get off the island. But he didn't. He said something that's never been said before a huge battle. He gathered in all of his leaders. They were waiting on every word, listening to everything he said. 3 words that changed the outcome of everything. By the way, the other army at the Yucatan Peninsula was a multiple of the size, well equipped. And that's why no one ever defeated him before. But he said one thing that changed the outcome. He said, hey, burn the boats. Wow. And his people said, excuse me? He said, burn the boats. If we're leaving this place, we're going to win and leave on their ships. And so they burnt the ships. That's what they did. They set them all aflame and everyone watched. And they only had 2 options now. We're going to win, take the treasure, or die. That's it. All options are gone except take the treasure and win, or die. And I'm sure some people considered it. Take the treasure, die. Take the treasure, die. And here's what they did. They won. They took the treasure. Insurmountable odds. Unbelievable, impossible, never been done before. No one thought they could do it. They weren't big enough. They weren't strong enough. They weren't talented enough. They weren't ready enough. And they did it because there was no other options except doing it. And they won. They took the treasure. So here's the question for you. What's holding you back? What are your boats you need to burn? Do you have a job? Do you go, well, if this thing doesn't work out, at least I have this. Maybe that's why you're not prospecting enough. Your mom and dad wealthy? Well, if I can't make my own money, at least I got some of theirs coming later in life. Just gotta wait till they pass. Oh, well, what a wonderful option. I'm going to leave lightly at my job, not burning any bridges there in case I have to come back. That's why you're not winning if you're not winning. You're not all the way sold out yet. You haven't burnt your own boats. You have too many other options you've left. And I know there's always other options. We live in America. But in your mind, you have to cancel all other options, and this is it. This is going to be the way you do it. This is where you're going to make your wealth. This is going to be where you leave your mark. This is going to be where you create a legacy. This is going to be where you change your family's name forever. This place is going to be. When you get sold out all the way, when you get sold out all the way, then you're going to win. Until then, you're probably going to struggle. Because you're not all in. And it takes, unfortunately, it shouldn't. But it's going to take you being all in to convince other people. You know why I'm so convincing? Because I'm so convinced. You know why everyone seemed to join me in business and stick with me? Because I was going somewhere and I knew it, and this was where. I didn't give someone 3 business cards when I met them. Hey, this is my business, this is my job, and I do a little signing on the side. Here you go. I'm at these conventions and someone meets me. Jeff, oh, you're my hero. Man, give me a call sometime, and they give me like 3 cards. Oh, I also do websites if you need a website. And they're trying to sell me on something else they do. I'm like, you're coming to me at my convention selling me on some other thing you do? I know you're not making it here. Obviously, you're just here to try to pick up some extra business. What a small thing. What a small thing. Man. Stepping over dollars to pick up pennies. Oh, I want to just, let me get a couple more sales. Let me make a little bit more money. So let me make a fortune forever. Residual income. Greg Cap style. Rob Day style. Jeff Levitan style. Gangnam style. All those styles. I'm fired up. I'm still a little healthy. I'm getting slapped back 3 minutes late. And I'm fired up. Last slide, you've seen it 6 times. Let me show you it the 7th time. And that's the last thing you need is to believe in yourself. And if you don't believe in yourself, borrow our belief in you until you have enough of it of your own. Sometimes you're confident, and sometimes you're not. Isn't that cute? I always think you can end with a kitty picture because everyone likes kitties. But look at the puddle. Man, a big ferocious tiger. Here's the problem. A lot of you are really the big tiger created in God's image, and you see in the mirror a kitty cat. And that's your very problem, is the vision of yourself. I don't know if that's secular or biblical. I'm still confused, Greg. We need some more mentoring. When you take me to the Packers-Falcons championship game, you can explain it to me. On the 50-yard line, thank you. Most of you are really lions. Tigers and powerful and strong and capable. Because you got beat down, because that one thing didn't work out, because that business failed, because the economy crashed, because that person broke your heart, you still haven't given it another shot and got back out of it and went after it again. And you didn't sold all the way out because you didn't like the way it felt to get hurt. And I'll tell you this, you only have one life and you've got to get back up again. That's your only option. You can't lay down. You can't go high. You can't play small. We don't know how long we have left, and if you're going to do anything great, you got to get back up and go again. It doesn't matter how many times you've been knocked down as long as you get up one more time. And we all have to get up one more time. And if you do that, I wholeheartedly believe, Robert King, that you'll change your family's legacy forever. That's why we're here. That's why we spent money and time and got together for this whole thing. Is to change our destiny, isn't it? Is to change the lives for our kids, our loved ones. So you can tell your mom to tell her boss off, you got her back. To tell your kids that, look, you'll help them out if they need it, because you can. And to start living the life that you dreamed of living. This is one place. It's not the only place, but to me, it's the best place to do it. I love this company. I'm thankful that you're on this journey with me. So many of you are such good friends, and some of you I'm just getting to know. But the longer we're in this together, the more, as long as you don't quit, we're going to be doing this for a long time. We'll be doing these meetings and going all over. Each one of you will have one of your own wealth bowls someday. I want you to see yourself. One day I sat in the back, Leroy, and saw this. And I'm like, I'm attending one, but I had a vision, someday I'm going to host one. And now I'm telling you, if all of you commit to having your own one of these someday, Kelly McCandless, you will do it. You will do it. But if you think you're just an attendee, always part of Rob's, under Rob's wing, which you always will be, but you got to break out too and get your own name, get your own brand, and get your own identity. Bobby, and I'm telling you, you got to grow into that. You got to make it so crowded, everyone doesn't fit in one room, and you have to break off and have your own, like they're doing right now, like Jennifer Lee and Jose have broken off from Eric because it's too big. There are thousands, and they need to recognize their people. That's what happens. That's why next year, not this year, next year we're having our own convention in Vegas, and we're big enough now, if we pull the whole legacy together, to fill the entire energy and God's ears, maybe Greg will do some work and do it. Whatever he is, get to work. Put this together. I love all of you. I wish and pray a safe travel home. Let's get after this thing, everybody. Waste no time. Make big plans. Get more people to your next BPM. Call your chicken list tonight and tomorrow. Make sure you have the biggest meetings you've ever had this next week. And start to grow. Take some more risks. Have some more confidence. And let's go make our dreams come true. God bless you. Thank you for being here, everybody. Safe travel.